Very welcome back. New figures from the Economic and Social Research Institute indicate that there is more of a gambling problem in Ireland than previously believed, with 1 in 30 adults suffering from problematic gambling.
Here to tell us more about Ireland's gambling problem and the regulations being brought in to mitigate it is the CEO of Ireland's newly formed Gambling Regulatory Authority, Marie Caulfield. Marie, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. A very important discussion I think we need to have. First of all, can you tell us what defines problem gambling? What is problem gambling in this country for people?
OK, so there's a problem gambling severity index, and that's an index to assist people to identify where their gambling is problematic. And that's on our website if people would like to look that up. So it's things like gambling more than you can afford, so borrowing to gamble, selling something in order to gamble, hiding your gambling. So if you're lying to loved ones in relation to the extent you're gambling, that indicates that there's an issue there. Chasing losses, thinking, if I just keep gambling, my luck will turn. So those are all indicators in terms of, there's 8 indicators that are internationally recognised in terms of problematic gambling, where people can identify that it has become an issue for them. Because obviously many people can gamble safely, but as you rightly said, there's a very significant problem, much higher than previously thought in Ireland, where 3% of people, over 3% of people, are suffering from very harmful gambling, and a further 7% from moderate levels of problem gambling.
Hugely detrimental impacts on their lives and the lives of their families, of course.
Absolutely, because 6 to 7 people for every problem gambler are affected. So that's their children, that's their parents, even their colleagues. So it is a very significant issue for them.
Yeah, so this new regulatory body is just recently operational. So what exactly is the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Ireland, and why was it formed, Marie?
So the Gambling Regulatory Authority, our role will be to licence and also to monitor the conduct of the companies licensed with us. So gambling will cover betting, both on-site and online. It'll cover gaming, so gaming in arcades and so on, but also online, and also lotteries, with the exception of the National Lottery. They're not part of our remit. So if you get a licence, there's a whole series of obligations that go with that. So to make sure that you're providing gambling in a responsible manner and a safe manner. And there's very considerable fines and penalties if you do not do so. So that's our role.
And what are the main issues that you're trying to overhaul here and reform when it comes to the access and trying to help people who may have issues with this? I know there was a proposal for credit cards are supposed to be banned from being used. Is that still in the pipeline? And what are the other measures that you're trying to bring in that are very important?
So absolutely, there's a ban on both credit cards and also a ban for licensed entities. When they're licensed, it will be on a phased basis, providing any form of credit. We'll also be establishing a gambling exclusion register, a national gambling exclusion register, where if individuals identify that they have an issue, or if they just want to step back from gambling for a period of time, they can register on that. And then the online companies may not contact them, may not open an account with them, and there'll be very significant penalties if they did. So that's one of the areas. There's a whole host of other areas in terms of advertising. A lot of it is aimed at protecting children, because it has been identified that if you start gambling before the age of 18, you're twice as likely to develop an issue with problem gambling in later life. So in terms of restrictions in advertising during the watershed, for example, that's something that we'll be bringing in as these new companies are licensed with us. We'll be opening for licensing later this year.
Can I ask how gambling was regulated prior to the formation of this regulatory body?
So prior to this, in terms of licences, you go to An Garda Síochána for certain types of licences, the courts if it was a larger amount, and the Revenue Commissioner. So they were the 3 main entities. But in terms of the sort of protections that I'm talking about that are now being enshrined in legislation, they wouldn't have been there. And in terms of the enforcement power, so for example, if a licensee breaches their licence terms, they can have their licence revoked, they can have it suspended, they can have 10% of their turnover by way of a fine or 20 million. And also key individuals in positions of responsibility where they've been taking decisions which are, for example, targeting people clearly demonstrating the signs of problem gambling, they personally can be held responsible as well.
Yeah. But if we look at the exposure to people, particularly children, they're watching their favourite Premiership team play on a Saturday and emblazoned across the front of all these very, very famous footballers' shirts is the name of a gambling entity. 40% of Premiership teams are sponsored by someone like that. So if they're being exposed to it over there in such a massive stage, how do we even begin to combat that when the exposure is so insidious everywhere?
The gamblification of sport is absolutely a serious issue, as you rightly identify there. And I suppose look to organisations like the GAA, who've taken a very principled stance in order to protect children, and indeed other players. You've had Oisin McConville, I gather here, a major GAA star, speak about his own struggles and his own journey to recovery. So with regard to your point, first off, there's increased awareness. The Premiership, for example, will be moving away from that type of sponsorship. But in relation to licensed entities in Ireland, in relation to the import of products intended for children...
So if their kit is sponsored by a gambling entity, basically, are they going to be allowed into the country after this?
So there is a section in the legislation which, when it's commenced, will mean that the manufacture, supply, distribution, sale of products intended for children, whether they're charged for or not, will not be allowed. So there'll be a 1 year...
That's your pencil cases or everything else, really, that you normally associate, all the merch associated with these things.
That's right. Yeah. So the kit and the merch will all be, you cannot have a gambling logo or gambling colours on it once that section of the Act is commenced. As I said, it will be on a phased basis. But again, it's to protect children, and so that there wouldn't be that association between sport and gambling, because sport is such a positive influence for children, not just in their childhood, but right through their lives. So it's really important to afford them that space and not to have it, so closely associated. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like they did with sport and alcohol a few years ago. It's the same sort of principle.
Or smoking and snooker or other,
sponsorships. Them. Yes. We have unfortunately run out of time, but Marie Caulfield, CEO of the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Ireland, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very lovely talking to you. Thank you so much. Now, still to come, Jason Poole is with us to discuss his campaign fighting for a domestic violence registry in Ireland.
We'll be right back with you after this short break.